and bring us up, Nancy.
You're up, Commissioner.
All right, we are in session as Bannock County Commissioners. We do have one amendment to our agenda, a discussion about the forensic pathology consultant, pathologist. Other than that,
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we accept the amended agenda.
we have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, Chantel.
Chantel Lovely with Indigent Services. In the case that I have before you this morning, case number 20230010. It's an application for cremation expenses submitted through Wilkes Funeral Home in the amount of $1,200. The deceased was a 62-year-old male. As a Bannock County resident, was not a veteran. With the information that we were able to obtain, it does appear that the deceased does meet criteria to be eligible for assistance through the indigent program. The county does appear to be the last resource for payment of these final expenses, and there is no responsible party available for repayment of this request at this time.
Mr. Chair, on case 20230010, I would make a motion that we approve this request as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Please. All right, Kyle.
Thank you.
Morning, Commissioners. Kyle Burmester, Bannock County Public Works. Had two things on the agenda. The first one was for an eye wash station, but with talking with Commission, I think we have a better route, so it's like take that off. We're going to go a different way with that. The second thing I had on the agenda for today is the LHSIP grant, which is a local highway safety improvement program. We applied for it earlier for the Buckskin Parks area for some widening. In that, we had a lot of ground purchase, property purchase. They said that they, LTAC, the local highway technical council, said that it was a good idea, but they didn't want the grant to have so much involved with purchasing property. So we re-looked at it, changed it around a little, seen that the Parks and Buckskin intersection was highly dangerous. We've had 2 fatalities in that area. One vehicle damage in the last 5 years, so it's a prime location to be looking at for correcting. What the plan is to do is there'll be some road name changing as part of it. So as you come down Buckskin actually turns and goes to the south, goes to the top of the hill, and then somewhere in there it turns to Terry Street. And then you have a few addresses that are Terry Street, and then you have on, which goes back to Buckskin. So it's confusing for shipping, safety, firefighting, all that. So the city's already trying to figure out what they could do and where that point could be. I told them to hold off a little bit because if we could get this, maybe that would help. So what my idea is having Terry Street come to Buckskin, to that intersection, and make Terry Street be the side road. So Buckskin will continue on into Parks all the way to Pocatello Creek, and that will become all Buckskin. And that will be a straight through shot where right now there's kind of a weird S turn to it, and we'll have turn lanes in there, and most of the traveling public's going over to Pocatello Creek. So that'll make it safe for them, and then we'll have the Terry Street will have a stop sign, and it'll be a side street off of it. There is a lot of traffic that goes down Terry, but not quite as much as what we have flowing to Pocatello Creek.
So just to make sure I heard you right, Park Street would now become Terry,
Would become Buckskin.
so Buckskin would then kind of come around like that.
So yeah,
And then Terry would dead end into Buckskin as it comes around.
yeah,
Okay.
Right now, you got a stop sign at the end of Park.
Yeah.
Because you hit Buckskin.
Right.
So that would be a straight-through street.
'Cause it-
Straighten that out and not have the curve that's right there, that little curve.
Which most people don't stop there anyways.
Correct.
And so that'll be a straight, and then there will be a stop sign.
Been there, done that?
I can tell you that twice a day.
90 into the other street, so.
That's a huge safety hazard, so that would be good.
yeah, and right now, it's, even with the intersection, this way it's set up, it's more of a Y. You kind of like to get that 90-degree angle for safety, so you have to really turn back to see traffic coming from the Terry and Buckskin Way and stuff. It'll just correct all that. And so we have a grant that, it does have a match, it's a cash match. So we're looking at 1.261 million, and our match would be 92,557.40.
But in fiscal year 24
Probably
or 25?
26.
Okay, 26.
They said it could be 25, but I'm not. I'm thinking 26. Because the last grant, this same grant that we applied for, we were supposed to be doing the work in 25. So if we're reapplying and stuff, I'm probably pretty sure it's going to be in 26.
And this could be part of the normal, it's part of your normal road projects that you're anticipating, but we would put it off until this grant came into play. So instead of us having to pay the full cost, we're only going to have to do the match portion.
Could we break that match up over 2 fiscal years?
You know what, where it's normal road process, I don't think we need to.
I don't think we'd need to. What it comes to is like, if I pave a mile of road, we're at like 150,000. So we usually try to, pave that. We could just put that as, it'd change
Gotcha.
which road. So we
Just
put
defer.
off that other road for a year.
And put this one on.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we could use our oil budget for the match.
I'm sorry, your what budget?
Our oil budget, so we have an oil line item for the maintenance we do on the roads, which
Okay, thank
is chip seal oil, hot mix asphalt.
So I don't see any recommendations from your team.
Sorry,
There you go.
came in late, so we gotta.
I just signed it when I sat down.
Sorry,
Conversation
I was
yesterday.
working on it and they didn't get it to me till late.
And I was out of the office yesterday, so I couldn't sign it until today.
Okay.
One thing I'd like to work with, whether with Shander, is how we've kind of talked about having engineering pool for general projects.
Okay.
To kind of help with Nancy on the grant writing end of things. So some of this technical stuff, most all, road departments have an engineering writing them or a full-time grant writer hired. So to me, that would work to our benefit, because there's a lot of grants out there to have maybe that general one that we pulled out of the pool also be looking at that.
The ones that we normally use, do they have people that do that, or is that just like is
Yes,
that a niche person in the
but
engineering?
no,
world?
they all do it because they do it for free pretty much because they want to drum up business. So,
Okay.
yeah, this is something that most all of them.
Okay.
I like the plan, I like the idea. I think it's a safety concern for the county that we need to correct.
It's a bad corner.
So,
Do we need a motion on this?
yes. But I will say, this needs to have all the signatures and need to go through the proper
Yes.
channels, just like we've asked everybody else to.
No, and that's why I was saying that it might be, instead of us trying to do the writing of it, it might be beneficial to us to speed that up by having somebody hired. It would be a minimal cost to have them write the grants. and to have the technical experience to know all the regulations, specifics to that.
Do we have someone in mind for that, or?
What we've looked at in the past is maybe having a pool of engineering for general engineering, so anything that's not a project, and then just pulling out of that pool, so that maybe at the first of the fiscal year, we could pull out of that pool, have a general engineer for road construction, and so if something comes up, we can just quickly move to them and have them help us.
So you remember to put that in your budget for next year? Because we'll have to pay them.
We do have an engineering budget like in Road and Bridge, just for that.
Okay.
So
We also have the engineer budget, which we could potentially take it out of, but
So yeah, there's a separate one in the Road and Bridge that's for engineering, that's, I can't remember what the amount is. See if I can beat you.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, it's a good project.
20 grand.
So that's for, like, if we do a culvert pipe in a ditch, we have to go, just like everybody else, we have to go through the water resources, get permits, do engineering work if we're changing the size of the pipe. So that's kind of what that's for, is just all of a sudden if any engineering work comes up, general engineering.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the LHSIP application for the safety grant for the Buckskin and Parks Road intersection.
Have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Jason.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Next item we have is quarterly jail inspection, the approval of the report.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the quarterly jail inspection as presented.
I have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we've all signed it already out at the jail, so. Next we have, go ahead, Shanda. Come on up.
Good morning, Commissioners. Shanda Crystal, Chief Procurement Officer. Today, I would like to continue our discussion of the potential renovation of the 6th Street entrance, but we would like to go down and look at that. So I didn't know if you wanted to continue through any resolutions or any other signature items you might have before we have that field trip, or...
We could do that, we go through the resolutions. Was Braden gonna lead this other discussion?
I can talk about it.
Okay.
I know what we're talking about.
Let's go ahead then, we'll go to Commissioner Huff and talk about discussion pertaining to reimbursement for forensic pathology consultant.
In a recent conversation with Dottie, she asked about submitting her monthly invoice, and then in part of that discussion, she asked about submitting for expenses incurred while traveling over here, and I said, I don't know, I'll take it to the board. In my mind, as part of a consultant, that's in your consultant fee, that should be factored in, but I said I'd just bring it to the board and see what the board thought. So that's the discussion. She had, like this last trip, she came over and spent overnight, so she's got a hotel and some mileage that she was asking about. So those are the type of expenses that are inquired. There's nothing in the contract about that, again, because when we wrote the contract, it was just kind of, from all my experience, I'm responsible for my own if I'm a contract employee. So
that one to me is like, we have a contractor that's gonna do some HVAC work over at the new building for the Safety and Assessment Center. They're not from Pocatello, but they're traveling down here to do the work. They're a contractor.
yeah.
So number one, it's not in her contract. Number two, there's no money to pay her. And number three, we don't do it for anybody else.
John, did you have something?
Oh, I don't think I've seen this contract. You haven't? Okay, thanks. I should have known. Thank you very much. So when did we, let's see, we signed this
1st of January.
1st of January, okay. Yeah,
And some of the question came from when she came over in December to look and walk through the building, we paid for her hotel and some mileage then because she was doing that before a contract and she was still the coroner in Ada County. And so it was kind of a different situation, but now she's under contract. I don't feel like we should, but the question was asked, so I just bring it
you
to the
don't feel
board.
like we should pay these expenses, is your statement?
In my history, as doing some independent contract work, I've never got that type of reimbursement.
Okay,
It's not in the contract.
gotcha.
We have others that we do have to pay specifics. If they send somebody out, they got so much per hour that we pay and all kinds of different things, but it's not in this contract. And at this point, I'm not in favor. I mean, we've given her a set amount that she makes per month. And so I'm not really wanting to come up with lodging and meals and travel at this point. That's where I'm at myself, too.
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting case here. I mean, I guess we really need to, when we're going to bring it, because we probably just need to make sure this is probably part of the discussion when we have consultants coming in, because, you know, you said you've done I've done consulting, and I put this in the contract, and I always did get travel, all expenses when I traveled. I didn't charge my time when I
Right.
traveled, but I did get, you know, all travel expenses and were covered.
Well-
So, it's probably something we should clarify in the future, I guess, before we enter into such contracts, just to make sure everybody's on the same page.
And honestly, let's see what goes on for a little bit here. I mean, I don't want a lot of extra burden there either,
Right.
but I don't want to just start saying that we're going to pay for this, this, and this. Let's see how the process works for a little bit, and what's going on is where I'd like to do.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it sounds like we're all on the same page.
Okay. I will let her know that at this point in time, we'll say no, but we'll reconsider it should she be coming over on a more frequent basis or something to that effect.
Yeah.
But we'll relook at it.
Well, there's a lot of things she can do from home.
Correct.
And if we're requiring her to be here every other week or something of that nature, then I'd be more considerate about that. But if it's stuff that she can be doing from home,
Is Braden managing her on this contract? Is that, or are you?
Yes.
Braden.
Braden is.
Gotcha. Okay.
all right? Looks like you have your team here. Should we go on a little field trip?
Do you want to finish off the resolutions and stuff?
We can do that too.
Give me this back.
So let's go ahead and go with resolutions. Resolution number 2023-16, authorization to dispose of surplus assets and property, and resolution 2023-17, approving tax cancellation requests. Motion on resolutions.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve resolution number 2023-16 and resolution number 2023-17.
We have a motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Under letters, tax cancellation, this is the individual that we met with last week. And we also, for signature only, a memo to approve disposal of assets. Motion on the signatures.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion we approve the signatures on the tax cancellation and the disposal of assets as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
We have minutes for January 17th.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
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 And then we also have salary rate approval forms. I just had a question on the one over here at juvenile.
Yeah. So,
It says it's, okay, go ahead. It says it's special, but is this just an advancement?
so they posted a competitive recruitment and they only have the one applicant. And this was a person who had been at step 10, maxed out at the scale in a lower classified position for many years. And they wanted, rather than starting them at the minimum step, to start them at step 1. Partly in recognition of the skill and that he brings to the position. So because it's not starting at the minimum step, I told them it's an exceptional request and to attach the memo justifying why. And so I personally don't see an issue with it, but it's your decision.
Well, I guess my only issue is these guys haven't seen the memo. This was just in the packet this morning, so when I went through it, so it's very tough to come up here and ask for a special exception when it hasn't been brought before the board, like in a work session, to talk about it first and then to come in. That's the part that
What's
Yeah.
the start date?
this February 6th.
Okay, so we could put
We
that
could
for
still do that.
Thursdays.
Okay.
Mhm.
To
But,
discuss.
and that's the
Yeah.
only thing, is I
Yeah.
got my packet this morning and started going through it. I know that these guys haven't been able to
And-
read this, haven't had any part in this. And so, and then it says, if I have questions, go ahead and get a hold of the supervisor over there.
So
I'm going through it after 8 o'clock this morning, and so if it's something like this, it needs to be brought before us in a work session, so we have time to communicate and talk about it.
Okay.
That's why I say, if it's just an advancement, then that's up to the supervisor. If it is a special occurrence, then
Yeah.
we need to have a little more time to talk about it.
So each SAR approval form line on the agenda allows for executive session. If we have one of these, whether it be on a Tuesday or a Thursday, do you just want us to invite the department head?
If it's a special deal, yes,
Okay.
that we gotta have a discussion about it.
Okay, and could we do a Tuesday or Thursday since it's posted
Yeah,
that way? Okay.
yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. But,
So I can reach out to the department head and ask
Yeah.
him.
that was my feelings when I went through that this morning.
So Thursday, that's set for 9, if you want to let him know.
I can,
Because these are not in the packet. They don't get to see the salary rate approval forms. They don't
Okay.
go out to the general public and everything. And so
and I guess
that's,
I'm learning still, so that's good. Because I
Well-
kind of,
This is a work in progress. I don't know that we've really had many of these, so.
we have it, and that's why
Yeah.
that has to be discussed and not just
Okay.
come up for a signature.
Right.
Sure.
I appreciate your comments on that, and I'm 100% with you on this. I don't want to, I'm not inclined to approve anything that I haven't had a chance to read before the meeting and think about. So even if
You ever
it's
heard that
one of
before?
these
No.
things. So it sounds like I'm parroting you. All right, sounds good.
Okay, so we'll hold this one, and the other ones are just straightforward advancements for people that either fill positions that somebody left, and then it talks about it.
These weren't in the packet either, though.
No.
But
No,
they're,
that-
but they're going to be people that are going to start at minimum,
And
so
these
they
won't-
follow the normal
These will
practice.
never go in the pack, well, they're in this packet, a physical packet, but they're not. And I guess they could send them to you individually, like we do some of the other things, like the tax
Mhm.
notice and stuff. But otherwise, the process is for them to go through the different departments and get the different signatures, and then they come before us
Mhm.
for our final signature.
Are these new hires?
But they're not new
Right here.
positions.
Right
They're
here.
they're new people being hired into a current budgeted position. They're just replacing,
They
So,
could be promotions.
right here.
or promotions, yeah.
This has replaced an individual that left, and because it's at a lower rate, because he's not a senior mechanic, he's getting, so that, the explanation is on these, generally. Accepted position of shop supervisor, this is the individual that we put in as an intern,
Mhm.
and now he has accepted that position, so the wages that we give him, we're just clarifying that it's a full-time job now, not the intern. And, so this guy's replacing the individual that retired, and then this guy is replacing somebody that resigned, so a new employee.
Mhm. So there would be no problem getting this information to us, these documents prior to these
You had
meetings?
those on Friday.
We did have them?
Yeah, sometimes you'll get them the morning of, depends on the timing. It just varies because we try to push those through as fast as possible.
Right.
But we do require them to, we try to require 2 weeks for processing. So if you wanted to see them in advance, most of the time you could see them a couple of days or a day before the meeting.
But that's not normally the part of the process, or it is?
It is normally the process.
Okay.
Once in a while, we have an exception when they're trying to push somebody through
Uh-huh.
to get hired as soon as possible, and then it might be a little less notice. But it's normally plenty of time that you could review it, say today for Thursday.
They are in the physical packet, but they're not on that online packet that has the person's name and.
Mhm.
So maybe you guys could set up an internal process before Christie puts it in the packet. They could be somewhere else, and then you could just check this folder. And if it's there, you would have time to review it prior to, and then maybe you could put it in the she could put it in the packet.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Well,
but it
and-
seems like there could be something.
And I guess
worked
that's
out.
the other deal is, because it's on every
Agenda.
agenda, we don't really know if there's gonna be one or not unless we go get the physical packet
Right.
and look at it. So we can talk,
But it sounds like this is pretty routine.
this is routine.
Right here.
Because we're not changing any,
Right. It's all budgeted.
it's all
We're
budgeted,
just-
it's all fits
Either
within
new
the
people are
budget.
coming in, or people are getting promoted, or things of that nature, right?
Replacement, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
90% of it is up to the supervisor, and then like I say, then they go through HR, and they go through legal, and also through
Right.
payroll and stuff, so.
Yeah.
So everybody's, it's clear that they don't get to this point. And then the other deal that's on these, couple of them right here. So this would add some concerns.
This concerns you?
Well, if you look at the legal review, it says
Oh, I see.
what their history is. There's a background check done on it. And so
Uh-huh.
that's another one, that if there is a question, then we can hold that one. I mean,
But what we can do is, because I'm usually the one that brings it down, if there's gonna be an exception, then I can let Christie know, and then she can make sure each of you see those prior.
Yeah, whatever the process is, that we would be able to look at this at least, I honestly, I don't want to look at the morning of the meeting
Right.
either, but if we can see it ahead of time, then we can have some time to at least think about, I mean, it's hard to come up, I mean, we all know, it's hard to come up with a question on the spot, so, yeah. Okay, thank you.
okay? Are you willing to sign these today?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Motion then on these salary rate approval forms.
Mr. Chair, make a motion that we approve the salary rate approval forms as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, for the third time, we'll come back to our field trip. You can go down and look at the front entrance. Side entrance, I guess.